Hey everyone, I'm Aman and I'm going to be showing you what it's like to be a product design intern at PlanGrid in San Francisco. At the time of filming this video, I've spent about 2 months in San Francisco. This is currently my first time working in San Francisco and the Bay Area, and it has been a really awesome experience so far. I've had a chance to visit a lot of the tourist attractions and explore the different neighborhoods in the city. I live with my roommates Enoch, Adrian, and Alex. A typical day for me starts out around 8 or 8:30 with me waking up and getting ready to go to work. I usually walk to work. It's a really nice walk through a residential area and then into the Mission District of San Francisco. My walk to work is around 25 or 30 minutes, which I'll usually do, but once in a while I might take a Lyft or an Uber if I'm running a bit late. PlanGrid's office is located in the heart of the Mission District of San Francisco. The Mission is known for its amazing street art and culture, and also some of the amazing food that you can find in the area. Another thing which is pretty popular is the Mission Dolores Park, which is just a 5-10 minute walk from my office. Once I reach the office, I usually start off the day by heading to my desk, catching up on some emails and Slack from anything that I might have missed, and figuring out what my plan is for the day. My desk is kind of like my home base. I like to go and work in different places throughout the day. Sometimes I'll go and sit in different meeting rooms or even sit on some of the couches and more comfortable places we have to sit around the office. Honestly, the office at PlanGrid is one of my favorite parts of the experience so far. It has very cozy vibes and there's always friendly people around the office to have a conversation with. You can basically never get bored, and if you ever do, there's endless snacks and drinks to have. We have a happy hour at the end of the week every couple of weeks, which is a great way to socialize and meet new people on different teams. This is a clip from our Pride-themed Hack Week celebration, which just ended off recently, and it was basically a week where we got to work on anything we'd like in the product and have a chance to take a break from our day-to-day work and work on something fun. As a product designer, my day is usually split up into a couple of meetings and then a couple of hours of heads down time where I can focus on getting things done. For the meetings, it's usually with my product manager, the front-end or back-end developers, and my design mentor, Lucy, who really helps me through all of the tasks that I work on. My role allows me to look at problems from a high level and figure out what we actually want to build in the product, and also look at really fine detail and figure out how we want the experience to feel and what we want it to look like. I'll be going into more detail of the typical tasks of a product designer in the Q&A section at the end of the video. And that's basically my day to day, but outside of work, you can find me supporting the Raptors, working on some side projects and learning new things, hanging out with my friends from the Bay Area and also friends who are visiting, and playing healthy amounts of Smash on the Switch. Alright, so now it's time for the part of the video where I'm going to be answering some of the commonly asked questions and questions that were asked by people on our Instagram page. So one question is, what roles have you done in the past and how does it relate to the work that you're doing now? That's a good question. So in the past, I've done a couple front-end developer internships and a design internship. So it relates really closely to what I'm doing now, just being able to work as a part of a product team and really see how that goes. But again, the company is very different, so the experience has been completely new as to what I'm actually working on and what things we need to build for our users. What are some of the typical tasks of a product designer? So this is a great question, and it really depends on the type of project that you're working on and the type of company that you're at. The first type of step in any design workflow really is the research phase. So this would be coming up with some sort of user research plan, defining what your actual problem is, and talking to the users to figure out what you should be doing. This also might involve doing some sort of market research or competitive analysis and figuring out where your product fits in the landscape of everything on the market. Next we have the definition phase, where you're coming up with some sort of product spec and figuring out what your solution could look like when it's in the hands of the users. This might be coming up with some sort of user journey map to see where it fits in their current workflow, or some sort of user flow diagram, which is very high level usually and doesn't get into the details. The next part is the ideation phase, where you might create some wireframes, start thinking more about how things are laid out visually, what your UI might look like at a high level again. Next could be the building phase or the prototyping phase, where you're actually creating these high fidelity mockups and you're coming up with prototypes. So this might be using tools like Sketch and Figma and InVision to basically build out what the final designs might look like. And then the next step would really be to test that out. So get it in the hands of the users, whether it's your final prototype or the built-out solution, and quickly iterate on that feedback. So those are some of the high-level tasks of a product designer. Of course, at any of those stages, you can kind of dive really deep. You could have an entire internship which focuses just on the research part or just on the visual part of creating those prototypes. Next question is, do you like startups more or larger companies? For me personally, I like working at smaller companies. I'd say between the range of like 50 up until maybe like the size of PlanGrid, so around like 500. But beyond that, I feel like it becomes difficult to see the direct impact of your work. But again, it really depends on the team that you're on and the part of the product that you're working on. I find that the differences between larger and smaller companies are really like the problems that you're tackling on a day-to-day basis. At a larger company, I find people are dealing with problems like organizational structure and having to wait on people, lots of meetings, things like that. Versus at smaller companies, you're usually dealing with deadlines to get stuff shipped quickly and actually like resources, like time and having money to fund the projects. Whereas at a big company, it's more about the structure and how people work together. Next question is, what is something you have learned at PlanGrid? I'd say the biggest thing that I've learned, or I'm still learning at PlanGrid, is how to actually take ownership of a project and be able to kind of see it out from start to finish by setting my own deadlines and setting my own goals for the project. A lot of the times in the past, I've had people tell me like what needs to get done and give me a breakdown of that, but here I've had a chance to make my own timelines and really identify what I think should be done for the project. So it's been really interesting to kind of work with others and figure out what actually needs to get done and then actually do it. So it does provide the benefit of having some freedom and deciding what I want to focus on, but it does get challenging at times when I'm not too sure what the next steps are and they're not as clear-cut as they have been in the past for me. And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. If you have any questions about product design or about my experiences at PlanGrid, feel free to reach out and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible.